I wanted it to have a feel of a boy who only has the ability to buy himself things from high street stores and finds little bits that he loves and he's interested in and that he thinks will look great. It kind of needed to be not too perfect, but really be something that a 16-year-old would make for themselves. My name is Anna Fleischle. I'm a production, set and costume designer. The musical is about a boy called Jamie, and his dream in life is to become a drag performer. He decides to go to his school prom in a dress. That's the thing that he wants to do, and that is the main storyline the musical follows. It's a beautiful story about finding yourself, being yourself, and hopefully your community supporting who you are. This is Jamie's finale costume. And so this one isn't really him in drag, this is more him at home now that he feels more liberated in his form of expression. Obviously, when you get images of the cast, that starts to help inspiration because they will already have their own personality or look. And then from that, you start developing the costume ideas. And I was quite lucky because Dan Gillespie-Sells had a friend who was kind of one of the people who run Sink the Pink, the drag club. I ended up going to his flat one evening and we kind of had a glass of wine together and he stripped and then got all these things out of the wardrobe and just got one thing after the next out, and he was kind of putting them all on for me and kind of walking through his apartment and in hats, and with every single one he had a story to tell. And again, it was so interesting where some of it was very much stuff that he found and glued together, and some of them were made by incredible makers. That was a really brilliant bit of research, so I got a lot out of that. So the jeans are really quite simple, ordinary high street jeans. What they had before, which you can't see so much anymore because the costume has been washed so many times, it had a kind of streak of silver over the leg, so it looked like a brush stroke of silver. Then he's got the red heels, which is the first pair of heels that he's ever owned, that his mother gave him for his birthday. I just always felt that the first shoe that he would want would be, a really classic female shoe. But when you do a lot of movement and dancing, you obviously tend to slip out of shoes. So what we do a lot on stage is that you put an elastic to help with that. So if it's on skin, it would be kind of the person's skin tone, and because it's over the black socks, in this case it's a black elastic. It felt like Jamie, at his young age, would go for the thing that he thinks is going to make him stand out, which very much felt like, red would be the right thing. And so it started with the red shoes, went via the red dress, and then obviously the red shoes come back, and then I picked it up a little bit with other bits of red. It was something where you go, yes, he is developing and he's changing and he's becoming more comfortable in the way that he presents himself. The sequin, these are actually different trims. So there's a silver trim, and on top of that is a kind of slightly raspberry coloured sequin trim. So they're all layers. Then he's got the kind of glittery leotard, very tight vest. And the main thing, I guess, is the denim jacket, and it really did start as an ordinary denim jacket from a high street store. It was a bit of a process, the same process I guess he would have had in accessorizing it and kind of taking it step by step. Which just started with putting stuff over the shoulders, and even in that material, which kind of had the glitter and some sequins in it, but we kind of then added more beads. That's where the detail of him having made this himself really comes into it. If you would do this perfectly in a costume shop, the edge of the silver would be hidden by the trim that goes around it, because you try and hide usually, things that we would consider to be the ugly edges. But then I guess, if he would do it really quickly on his own, on the sewing machine, then that's how you do it. You kind of just lay it down and you kind of stitch it over the top. The same with the fringing here, where if you do this properly, the end of this fringe would sit underneath the shoulder layers. And in this case, it really just went on as its own piece, as you would do it if you literally just applique it on. In the back, for example, we have some more of the silver underneath the fringing, so you get more of a double layer. And then the little trim that goes along that has the pom-poms on it, that's something that is more for decoration. You might add onto a present. Again, it's not necessarily something that you would usually put through the washing machine many times. These were all kind of things that I thought he would pick up in the little crafts shops that he goes to because he likes them, not because someone somewhere has said, this is the right material for a piece of clothing. There's something in that kind of rogueness that seemed very much part of that character. It was definitely about him standing out in front of everybody, apart from everybody else, and having that kind of last sparkle in a way at the kind of end of the piece. There are quite a few things that you have to consider when you design for the stage, and Jamie, for example, in this musical has got quite a lot of quick changes. So something like the choker, for example, firstly we put in an elastic in the back, so because there's because he is moving quite a bit, it needs to move with him. I'm pretty sure it's Velcro, so something where you wrap around and bang, you go together and that's it. And a quick change like this would be done just backstage in the wings, so there isn't much light. So all of these things have to be considered when you make a costume that has to be changed very quickly. Jamie has a line, or he talks about it a few times in the piece, that the world that he lives in is grey. Sheffield is grey. It's all boring, it's council estates, his life is boring, everything, school is boring, it's all grey. And he's going to be the little bit of sparkle in the grey. There's a line that he has like that. And so designing the set, I was very much playing with that. It was very much like the set seems to be nothing, and it seems to be really boring, and it seems to be grey. And then in moments of when Jamie animates it, when he goes, I'm now in my own pop video, it can light up and blink and change colour. It was about showing him really as his kind of pure self in the end, and the person that he's kind of become in a way throughout the process of the piece, which is still just him as a normal boy in Sheffield, but he's found his own confidence and his own way of expressing himself, and that's what I was hoping this costume would represent.